funeral hall was silent, too silent. The air was thick with incense and unsaid words. Pale chrysanthemums lined the altar like ghosts watching over the dead. And there, standing still as stone, was Yunseo, her fingers clenched into the sleeves of her black dress. She didn't cry loudly. The tears just fell, quietly, endlessly. In her heart, grief wasn't loud. It was heavy. It was constant. It had been 10 years since her parents died in a car crash, and yet today, the ache felt fresh again. Because now, she was losing her last anchor. Her grandfather, her protector, her home, her only family, was fading before her eyes. Pancreatic cancer, late stage. Nothing could be done. Weeks, that was all he had. She had overheard the doctor speaking in hushed tones. Her grandfather didn't want her to know, but Yunseo always knew. And when he sat her down 2 nights ago, his voice trembling as he asked, "Will you let me see you in a wedding dress before I leave this world?" That was the moment her heart shattered into 1,000 silent pieces. Marriage? Now? She wasn't ready. But how could she say no to the man who gave up his dreams to raise her? So she nodded. She lied. "Yes, Grandpa, I'll marry. Before you go." But who would she even marry? At college, life continued as if hers hadn't just tilted sideways. Friends laughed, lovers fought, professors droned. Yunseo stared blankly at the whiteboard, not hearing a word. Beside her, her longtime friend So-hwan was chuckling over something stupid on his phone. Charming, playful, irresponsible. That was So-hwan in a nutshell. She had known him since their first year. He always teased her, always lightened the mood. Today, he was her only breath of normalcy. And then, like an impulse, she couldn't stop. The idea struck her. Before she could second-guess herself, Yunseo stood up and dragged him outside the classroom by the sleeve. Whoa, what's going on?" He laughed. She turned to him, her face pale but determined. Her voice trembled as she asked, "So-hwan, would you marry me?" The world stopped. He blinked, then grinned. "Is this a prank? You proposing? This is wild." He tilted his head with a boyish smirk. "Let's do it. But when we're 30, yeah? Not now. I have a whole life to waste before then." She opened her mouth to explain, but his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and lit up. "Some friends are nearby. Cute girls. Want to join? Or are you just pulling my leg with the proposal thing?" Yunseo forced a laugh. "Go, it's nothing. Just being silly." He reached out, pinched her cheek, and winked. "You had me for a second, you know. My heart actually skipped." Then he turned and walked off, whistling. She stood there, cold wind whipping her hair. Her hands curled into fists. What was I thinking? He never takes anything seriously. He treats life like a game. Couldn't he see the desperation in my eyes? Didn't I look serious enough? Tears stung again, but this time they burned with shame. She turned and walked blindly, trying to lose herself in the crowd, trying not to cry. That's when it happened. A hard shoulder collided with hers. Startled, she stumbled backward. Sorry?" she gasped, bowing instinctively. But the man who stood before her didn't offer a smile. He looked like he'd stepped out of winter, tall, lean, sharp-eyed. His voice was colder than the wind. "Next time, don't walk around like a ghost. Pay attention." Yunseo stiffened. His tone scraped something raw in her. "Excuse me?" She snapped. You saw me spacing out, didn't you? Then maybe you should have moved instead of bulldozing through me. Her anger surged. Or did you bump into me on purpose just to pick a fight? Before he could answer, a screech of tires sliced through the air. A black car barreled towards them, too fast, too close. In one blur of motion, the man grabbed her wrist and yanked her backward. Her body collided with his chest. Time froze. Their faces were inches apart. Her breath hitched. She felt his heartbeat, or maybe it was hers. His hand was firm, warm, strong. Their lips grazed, barely, a whisper of a touch. Yunseo's entire body flushed. He let go instantly, stepping back like he'd touched fire. She stumbled, catching her breath. Don't get the wrong idea, he said coldly, brushing invisible dust from his sleeve. You almost got hit. That's the only reason I pulled you. She swallowed hard. Right, thanks. She looked away, her heart racing. Let's pretend this never happened. We're both clearly having a bad day. She turned to walk off, but his voice followed her, laced with sarcasm. No, thank you. Not even a small one for saving your life? She paused. Or, he added, voice low and teasing, are you planning to walk away without paying me back? For that kiss? She whipped around. Kiss? Her cheeks flamed. Our lips barely touched. You think that was a kiss? He smirked. Didn't say it was a good one. Just unexpected. Maybe your first? Her mouth dropped open. You arrogant... She sputtered. You think you're some heartthrob? For your information, you're not even close to being my first. He raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. No? She narrowed her eyes. I've kissed 108 people. He chuckled softly. 108? Wow, very specific. You keeping score or just making it up on the spot? Yunseo spun around, fuming. You're unbelievable. Don't ever talk to me again. You perverted winter man. He stood there as she stormed off, a faint smile curling at the edges of his lips. 108, huh? He murmured to himself. Interesting. Back on campus, the usual noise returned. Laughter, footsteps, frantic whispers before lectures. But Yunseo felt like she was underwater. The classroom buzzed with chatter, but she could barely hear any of it. Her thoughts drifted, flickering between her grandfather's fading voice, Suwon's carefree smile, and the icy stranger from yesterday. Perverted winter man. She shook the thought from her head. In front of her, Su-yun was cracking jokes again, his voice loud and confident, as he retold a story from last night's party. Laughter rippled through their group, but Yunseo didn't even smile. She was gripping her pen so tightly, her knuckles were pale. Then, the door creaked open. Silence fell like a curtain. Students looked up curious. A tall figure walked in, composed and elegant, dressed in a black button-up and slate grey slacks that matched the cool steel of his presence. He placed his notes calmly on the desk, then turned toward the class with measured grace. Good morning. His voice was smooth, steady, unmistakable. I'm Kang Jin-young. I'll be your guest lecturer for this semester. Yunseo's heart dropped. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared, wide-eyed, lips slightly parted in horror. No way. Her notebook trembled in her hands. She ducked behind it instinctively, her thoughts spiraling into silent screams. The arrogant jerk from yesterday? He's a professor. My professor. she whispered under her breath, half praying. No, it can't be. Please, let me be imagining things. But then his gaze swept the classroom and paused. Right, on her. His voice sliced through the tension like glass. You? The one hiding behind the book? Yunseo froze. No, please don't. What's your name? 1,000 eyes turned toward her. Her voice cracked as she answered. Choi Yunseo. He smiled. But it wasn't a warm smile. It was laced with memory, with mischief. Miss Choi, he said smoothly, tilting his head slightly. Did you know that biting into a book doesn't actually help you absorb its content? Laughter erupted across the room. Yunseo's face turned crimson. She clenched her jaw, but before she could retaliate, he flipped a page and said casually, Why don't you explain 108? Her breath caught. What? He blinked innocently. Sorry. Page 10.8, comma I meant. A playful glint danced in his eyes. Yunseo burned. Her ears were ringing. The bastard was toying with her. She stood in stunned silence, cheeks on fire, the laughter still echoing around her like cruel confetti. And in the front of the class, he turned the page without another word, as if it were just another day. After class, Suyun approached him with a cheerful tone. Professor Kang, you didn't tell me you'd be teaching here. He smiled politely, barely glancing up. It was finalized last minute. I'm just a guest. Suyun leaned closer. Let's catch up over coffee. I owe you for that recommendation letter. Jin Young's expression didn't waver. Not appropriate, I'm afraid. Teacher-student lines should stay clear. Yunseo was still frozen in her seat, reeling, until Suyun turned and said casually, You know him? Our families know each other, Suyun said with a shrug. Yunseo could hardly breathe. Later that day, her friend invited her to lunch. Let's go grab jampong. I'm starving. But Yunseo forced a smile. I think I'll just head home. Bit tired today. Her feet carried her through the hallway like a ghost, but her heart was restless. Then she saw him, Kang Jun-young, walking ahead. She hesitated, swallowed her pride, then called out, Mr. Kang. He stopped, turned. His gaze landed on her like frost brushing warm skin. Can we talk? He said nothing, just waited. She stepped closer, her fingers curling nervously around the strap of her bag. I just wanted to say, about yesterday, I didn't know you were a professor. I wasn't exactly polite, and I don't bring personal issues into class. His voice was calm, controlled. Unlike you, I know when to act professionally. Yunseo flinched at the sting. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. Don't get the wrong idea, he cut in, his smirk returning. I'm not holding a grudge, Miss Choi. I just treat all my students equally. His eyes held hers for a second longer than necessary. Try not to let your pride confuse that with arrogance. Then he turned and walked away without waiting for a reply. Yunseo stood frozen, teeth clenched, a storm building behind her eyes. This man is impossible. That night, her phone buzzed. Grandpa? She answered immediately. Yunseo, how are you? I'm okay. How about you? His voice held its usual warmth, but she could hear the fragility behind it. I'm doing well. Listen, I'm coming into the city this Saturday. An old friend of mine wants to introduce you to someone. Come with me. Yunseo blinked. A setup. It's just a meeting. I think you'll like them. She sighed. Fine, I'll come. Saturday came with crisp air and the smell of approaching autumn. Leaves danced along the pavement as Yunseo rode quietly beside her grandfather towards an estate she didn't recognize. The gates opened to reveal a sprawling, luxurious home. They were greeted at the door by a tall, distinguished man and a graceful woman in her mid-50s. Kang Jin, her grandfather exclaimed with genuine warmth. You shouldn't be greeting us yourself. You're the CEO of TJ Corp. Kang Jin laughed heartily. I wanted to meet your granddaughter myself. His wife, Haeuk, smiled kindly as they ushered them in. We were close friends with her parents, after all. Yunseo bowed respectfully. It's lovely to meet you. Kang Jin studied her with kind eyes. You've grown into a fine young woman, just like your mother. Inside the house, everything gleamed. Polished floors, subtle scent of jasmine, old money elegance. Over tea, Kang Jin turned to her. If you're willing, Yunseo, consider yourself part of our family. My wife always wanted a daughter. Haeok chuckled. He's always been like this. Gets attached too quickly. Kang Jin turned proudly to the hallway. And here's someone I want you to meet. My second son, Kang Jin Ho. A polite young man entered, bowing slightly. Nice to meet you. I'm Jin Ho. She smiled gently. Nice to meet you too. They exchanged a few polite words, the air light, until footsteps echoed behind them. Sharp, slow, certain. The room shifted. The air thickened. And then he appeared. Tall, composed, icy. Kang Jin-young. Her breath caught. Their eyes met, and for a moment the world tilted sideways. No way. He paused. So did she. Their expressions froze, disbelief tangled with something deeper. Recognition, tension, unfinished sentences. Outside, after greetings faded, the two stood near the garden, under a quiet cherry blossom tree that had long forgotten spring. Jin-young's voice broke the silence. Fate really has a sense of humor, doesn't it? Yunseo crossed her arms, steadying herself. Why didn't you say anything? I didn't know either, until I walked in. A beat passed. She bowed slightly. Thank you, for saving me that day. He raised an eyebrow. Is that the real reason you're thanking me, or is this part of the pretend apology for the kiss that never happened? Her lips parted in shock. Can we stop talking about that already? But he didn't laugh. Instead, he stepped closer. His voice softened. You said 108 people remember. His gaze held hers, steady. I don't care if that's true or not, but something tells me it was a lie. Yunseo's throat tightened. She didn't answer, couldn't. His voice dipped lower. People who've kissed 108 others don't look like they're holding their breath every time someone steps too close. She backed up slightly, heart pounding. Stay in your lane, Professor. He tilted his head. Maybe I was, until you barged into mine. They stood in silence. The cherry blossoms rustled above, shedding petals that fell like quiet confessions. The city that day wore a hush of grey clouds and the cool scent of pending rain. It hung in the air, like a secret waiting to be spoken. Yunseo sat alone on a wooden bench outside the library, the breeze tugging gently at her coat sleeves. A paper cup of coffee warmed her hands, but not her heart, that remained wrapped in something far colder. Inside her bag, her phone remained untouched, Junyoung's words echoing like a quiet dare. 3 days, 5 p.m. parking lot where we first met. If you don't come, I'll take that as a no. It was already the second day. She still hadn't decided. Could she marry a man like him? Could she trust a man who looked at her like he could read every part of her, even the ones she didn't want to show? But even now, her pulse quickened, remembering how he'd looked that night, the way he'd pulled her away, not out of affection, but possession. Like something primal, silent, undeniable. Later that evening, she wandered the halls of her home, restless. Her grandfather was dozing on the recliner, a plaid blanket over his lap, a small smile ghosting across his lips. Yunseo stood quietly by the door watching him. He looked peaceful, fragile, as if made of ash and memory. She swallowed, a lump forming in her throat. "Grandpa, what would make you happiest?" His voice echoed in her mind from a week ago. "Just to see you standing beside someone on your wedding day. That's enough for this old man." She turned away, her heart aching. Day 3, 4:58 p.m. Rain began to fall, soft, steady, almost apologetic. Yunseo stood beneath a slim umbrella at the edge of the parking lot, her shoes soaked quietly from the puddled pavement. A scarf framed her face, cheeks tinged pink, not from makeup but the cold. Her heart thudded with every passing second. Would he come? Or was he already waiting? Then a car door slammed in the distance. She turned. Junyoung stood across the lot, dressed in a charcoal wool coat, collar upturned, one hand tucked into his pocket. The rain didn't touch him. He looked like a man made for winter. Their eyes met across the space, no words spoken. He walked toward her. No umbrella, just rain catching in his lashes, sliding down the sharp line of his jaw. He stopped in front of her, a breath's distance away. Water clung to his coat, but he didn't seem to notice. Yunseo broke the silence first. "I came." A small wry smile tugged at the corner of his lips. "So you did." She hesitated, lowering her umbrella slightly so she could see him clearer. "Before I say anything, this isn't a joke, right?" His voice was low, certain. "I don't joke about contracts, or marriage." She looked down. The sound of rain filled the silence between them. "This isn't love," she said finally. "Good." His eyes were steady. "That makes 2 of us." She flinched, but oddly, it didn't hurt. Because it was honest. No illusions. Just a transaction, a mutual understanding between 2 lonely people. They sat in a quiet cafe afterward, the kind tucked into a corner street where the lights glowed amber and the cups clinked gently on white saucers. Junyoung pulled out a slim file from his briefcase. "This is the prenup. I drafted it last night." Yunseo blinked at the stack of documents. "You're thorough." He didn't look up. "Always." She skimmed through the contents, fingers brushing over the terms. Separate accounts, no interference in personal life, discretion. 0 expectation of physical intimacy unless agreed upon. She raised an eyebrow. "So, we're business partners now?" His expression didn't change. "If that makes you feel more comfortable." "Yes." She set the paper down. "But people will expect us to act like a real couple." He nodded. "I can pretend." A flash of something flickered in her eyes. "You're good at pretending, aren't you?" That made him pause. His gaze shifted toward her, unreadable. And you're good at running away. Her breath caught. What's that supposed to mean? His voice dipped. You kiss a stranger in a stairwell and then pretend it never happened. You say you're looking for a husband, yet you flinch when one stands in front of you. She looked away, cheeks flushed. That kiss wasn't supposed to mean anything. But it did. Her hands trembled slightly on her lap. Junyoung stood, setting the papers aside. Think about it one more time, Choi Yun-sil. If we sign this, there's no turning back. That night, Yun-sil dreamt of him. Not the polished professor or the cold businessman, but the version of him from that first night, the way he'd looked at her, the pressure of his hand around her wrist, the ghost of that kiss. She woke up breathless, blanket tangled, skin warm. 2 weeks later, the wedding was held in secret, small, elegant, just family and a notary. No music, no fanfare. She wore a simple ivory hanbok. He wore black. Their hands touched only once when signing the registry. That night, they returned to Junyoung's penthouse. She'd never been there before. It was quiet, minimal, almost sterile. Everything in shades of grey, white, and steel. She stepped in cautiously, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor. You live here alone? He poured 2 glasses of water, handed her one. For years now. She wandered into the living room, taking in the sparse decor. There's no warmth in this place. There's no one to keep it warm. Their eyes met again, lingering, heavy, loaded with things they never dared say. That first night, she slept in the guest room. He didn't knock, didn't ask, and she was grateful for that, but also a little disappointed. Days passed. They maintained appearances, family dinners, photo ops, polite conversations. Behind closed doors, they barely spoke unless necessary. But something was shifting. Small things. The way his gaze lingered on her reflection in windows. The way she memorized the rhythm of his footsteps in the hallway. The way silence between them no longer felt cold. Just waiting. One evening she arrived home late. She was soaked from the rain, again having forgotten her umbrella. As she peeled off her coat by the door, she heard soft piano music drifting from the study. Curious? She followed the sound. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, Junyoung sat at a grand piano, fingers moving slowly, precisely. A melancholic melody weaving through the shadows. He didn't see her. And for the first time, she saw him without armor. Alone, vulnerable, human. She leaned against the doorframe, saying nothing, until the music stopped. His head turned slightly. How long have you been standing there? Long enough. A pause. You play well. He didn't look at her. My mother used to play. I hated it back then. Now, I think I learned just to feel close to something. She stepped into the room slowly. Do you ever feel lonely? He finally looked up. Only when someone's in the room. The confession was like a thread snapping inside her chest. She sat beside him on the bench, careful not to touch. Why did you agree to marry me? His voice was almost a whisper. Because it's easier to build walls with someone than to tear them down alone. Their knees brushed. Barely. But the contact felt louder than a scream. He turned his head slightly. And you? Why did you come to that parking lot? She didn't answer right away. Then, softly. Because you looked at me like I was real, Not a project, not a pity case, just real. His gaze dropped to her lips for the briefest second. The tension between them coiled. Heavy, fragile. Then she stood suddenly, flustered. I should change, I'm still wet. She turned quickly and left, heart pounding, fingers trembling. Behind her, Jun-young stared at the empty space she left behind. His fingers returned to the keys, but the music refused to come. The first time he touched her hair, it was accidental. She'd fallen asleep on the couch with a book in her lap. He'd returned from work late, quietly set down his briefcase. Saw her mouth slightly open, one sock slipping off. He couldn't help it. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. She stirred. He stepped back instantly. But she didn't wake. And that night, he couldn't sleep. The first time she touched his hand, it wasn't accidental. He'd cut his palm on a glass shard in the kitchen. She rushed over instinctively, grabbing his wrist. Let me see. He flinched slightly, unused to concern. But she didn't let go. She cleaned the wound with gentle hands, frowning. You should be more careful. His eyes never left her face. When she finally looked up, their faces were close. Too close. Neither moved. Her breath caught in her throat. He could feel the warmth of her skin, smell the faint floral notes in her shampoo. Then he pulled away. Thanks. She nodded, hiding the disappointment in her eyes. One night, he knocked on her door. Just once. She opened it, startled. He stood there, hands in his pockets, eyes unreadable. May, come to the roof. Now? He nodded. She followed him in silence. The wind was cold. The city lights sparkled like scattered jewels. He handed her a scarf, the same one she'd worn the day they met in the rain. I had it cleaned. She smiled softly, touched. Why bring me here? He looked out at the city. Because I can't stop thinking about that kiss. She froze. He turned to her slowly. Tell me it meant nothing and I'll forget it happened. Her lips parted. But no sound came out. He stepped closer. Say it. She couldn't. Her silence said more than any words could. And just like that, his hand rose, cradled her cheek. His thumb brushed beneath her eye, a touch so gentle it hurt. You're not just a contract to me anymore, Yunseo. Her breath hitched. But you said... I know what I said. I lied. The moment was a breath away from breaking. Then he leaned in. His lips brushed hers. Barely. A whisper of a kiss. But it unraveled something deep and unspoken between them. When he pulled back, her eyes were glassy. She didn't speak. He didn't ask. They simply stood there. Two strangers, now tethered by something more than paper. The restaurant hummed with quiet jazz, dim lights, casting soft shadows across the wooden floors. The long table was set near the window, where city lights glimmered outside like 1,000 watching eyes. Yunseo sat across from Junyoung, doing her best to act natural, even as her heart pounded like it was counting down to some invisible catastrophe. Sukun chattered beside her, completely unaware of the tension stretched taut across the table like a string pulled too tight. Swen, seated next to Junyoung, sipped her wine with a refined elegance, her eyes darting between the two of them. So, she began, voice light but laced with meaning. You two seem different lately. Yunseo blinked. Different? Closer, Swen said. with a tilt of her head. Comfortable, almost like a couple? Jin-young didn't miss a beat. We've known each other for a while. Naturally, we've become close. Yun-so tried to hide the sharp breath that left her lungs. His voice was too smooth, like silk covering a blade. Sukun laughed, oblivious. I always thought something might be going on between you two. No, nothing like that, Yun-so said quickly. Too quickly. Her hand knocked over her water glass. She gasped as the cold liquid spilled across the table, soaking her sleeve. Jin-young moved instantly. He reached over with a napkin, dabbing her wrist before she could even react. His fingers brushed hers, warm, steady, too familiar. Careful, he murmured under his breath. Don't act so jumpy. His voice, low and quiet, made her skin prick. She nodded stiffly, face burning. Across the table, Sweni watched everything, her expression unreadable. Later that evening, after a strained farewell, Jin-young walked her to her apartment. Neither spoke much as they reached her door. She unlocked it and turned, unsure whether to thank him or glare. You didn't have to agree to join them, she said, crossing her arms. You knew I didn't want that. He leaned casually against her doorframe, one hand in his pocket, the other resting against the wood. I thought we were practicing, he said with a slight smile. Not in front of them, she snapped, then sighed. It's harder than I thought. Pretending. Jin-young tilted his head, the city lights casting shadows across his sharp jawline. Then stop pretending. She blinked. What? He straightened, stepping into her space. She backed up instinctively until her back hit the door. His hand came up, pressing lightly against the door beside her head. His scent wrapped around her, a subtle mix of musk and something colder, sharper, like rain on stone. Stop pretending it doesn't affect you, he said, voice low, barely above a whisper. Her heart slammed against her ribs. What are you talking about? You flinch when I touch you, he said. You look away when I get close. Your eyes linger too long. Why keep pretending you don't feel something? She looked up at him, defiance warring with fear. Because it's not real. He smiled, faint and unreadable. That's where you're wrong. His thumb brushed against her cheekbone, feather light, her breath caught. I don't fake this, Yun-so. And then he stepped back, leaving her cold and shivering in the sudden distance. Good night, he said, turning away. She watched him go, hand pressed against her chest, as if to steady the storm within. The next morning, Yun-so stared at her reflection. Her eyes looked tired, her lips slightly swollen from the kiss 2 nights before. She touched them without thinking, her fingers grazing over the memory. What was happening to her? At school, she walked through the halls like she was trying to stay invisible. But somehow, Jin-young always found her. He passed by her in the corridor between classes, his fingers brushing her hand for the briefest second. She froze. Lunch, he said, without looking at her. Roof, 15 minutes. He didn't wait for an answer. 15 minutes later, she stood on the rooftop, the wind catching her hair. The sky was pale and overcast, clouds shifting restlessly. He stood there with a thermos in one hand and a box of lunch in the other. Brought food, he said. Eat. She narrowed her eyes. You brought me lunch? You skipped breakfast, he said. Your hands were shaking in class. She blinked. You notice that? He sat down on the bench, setting the box beside him. You're not as subtle as you think. She hesitated, then sat beside him. The food was still warm. They ate in silence for a while, the kind of quiet that felt weighted with things neither of them dared say. Finally she asked, "Why me?" He didn't look at her. "You're not like the others." "That's vague." "You're inconvenient," he said. "You challenge me. You talk back. You make me feel like I can't control everything." She stared at him. "And that's a good thing?" A pause. "I'm still deciding." She snorted, but the laughter died quickly. Her tone softened. "You don't even know what love is, do you?" He turned to her then, eyes meeting hers. "Neither do you." The truth of it hit her like a gust of wind. She looked away. "I know what loss is," she whispered. "Isn't that close enough?" His hand found hers on the bench, wrapping around her fingers slowly. "Maybe we'll learn the rest together." That evening, Yoon-seol visited her grandfather. He poured tea as she sat across from him, the familiar scent of ginseng filling the room. "So," he said, smiling, "your fiancé, when will I see him again?" She hesitated. "Soon. He's busy lately." Her grandfather nodded. "Do you love him?" She swallowed. "I think I could." He looked at her kindly. "Love isn't just a feeling, Yoon. It's a choice. Every day. Even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts." His words lingered in her chest, like soft thunder. 2 days later, Jin-young stood in front of a mirror, adjusting his collar. The gala was that night, a corporate event where appearances were everything. He stepped out of his car later in a sharp black suit, the flash of cameras greeting him. Yoon-seol was already inside, standing at the far end of the hall like a dream painted in ivory silk. Their eyes met. He moved through the crowd, unhurried, but never looking away. When he reached her, she smiled, tense, careful. "I feel like I'm going to fall over in these heels." He offered his arm. "Then lean on me." And she did. The evening passed in a blur of polite conversations and forced laughter. But there were moments, small ones, where their eyes met across the room, or their hands brushed under the table. Moments that felt real. Outside, as they waited for the valet, she sighed. "I'm tired of pretending." "So stop," he said. She looked up at him, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. "Then kiss me. For real this time. No pretending." He leaned in, slower this time, as if asking permission with every breath. And when their lips met, it wasn't rushed or performative. It was soft, careful, searching. When they pulled apart, her fingers were curled in his coat. "That," she whispered, "felt dangerous." He touched her cheek. "It is." They stood in silence, the city alive around them, and for a moment, nothing else existed. Not the lies, not the secrets, not even the future. Only this breath, only this closeness. And the terrifying possibility that somewhere along the way, the pretense had become real.